Hi, welcome to Long Distance Review. This is my review channel where I look at music, new rock music, mainly rock, metal, punk, anything along those lines. And this week we look at the new album from Parkway Drive, and it's called Reverence. It came out today on May the 4th. Any Star Wars geeks out there, I'm sure you'll love that. And I'm not, by the way. Anyway, Parkway Drive. Let's have a look at the history a little bit, because I think the background to this album is quite important. Parkway Drive from Australia, and they were formed in 2003, and basically a metalcore band. We'll come on to that a little later on. But the core members of Parkway Drive, they've only had one member change. That was after the debut album. So the members on this album are Winston McCall on vocals, Jeff Ling on lead guitar, you've got Luke Kilpatrick on rhythm guitar, Jim O'Connor on bass, and Ben Gordon on drums. This will be their 6th release. They released their debut album, Killing With A Smile, in 2005. They followed it up with Horizons in 2007. They then followed that up with Deep Blue in 2010, and in 2012 they released Atlas. And in 2015 they released Ire. If we look back at the sound of Parkway Drive a little bit, when they first came out with Killing With A Smile on the debut, they were a pure metalcore band. There was really no choruses, no melodies as such, really, just pure metalcore aggression. Horizons came out in 2007, and it was a much more refined metalcore sound. And for many fans, Horizons is their album, the best album they did. Deep Blue, for me, is their best album. And it's full of anthems. It's metalcore, but it's much more anthemic and big and grandiose. And I think Deep Blue is fantastic. Atlas in 2012, to me, treaded water a little bit. It's still a good album. But after Deep Blue, which I felt was their pinnacle, Atlas came out and was sort of okay, so it's more of the same. Still good, but where do we go from there? And I feel that's where Parkway Drive got to themselves personally, because where did they go from there? Ire in 2015 was a big turning point for the band. And in themselves, they said, what's the point in playing the same style riffing, the same style drumming, the same vocals, the same breakdowns? Why would anyone listen to that? Why would anyone listen to the new music if it sounded like the last album? And that's where Ire came from. Ire was a big turning point for the band, and it showcased a lot more of the traditional metal, I guess, than just pure metalcore. There was choruses and anthems, a bit of clean singing. And Ire kind of laid the groundwork for this album. Now, the fact that Ire was a success, I remember at the time when it came out, the critics weren't as keen on it. Fans weren't as keen on it, but now it's regarded as a classic of the genre. And the fact that Ire has been a success, the sound of this album shouldn't be that much of a surprise to everyone. They've even said in a recent interview, Winston had a recent interview where he said that they've outgrown metalcore. Now, I've watched that interview, and to be fair, that's a soundbite, and journalists, they cling on to anything. Oh, he said they've outgrown metalcore. They hate metalcore. It's not really exactly what he said. He was asked if they outgrown metalcore, and he said yes, in a way, because he wants them to be judged as Parkway Drive instead of just being pigeonholed into metalcore. People should say that this sounds like Parkway Drive instead of this sounds like metalcore. So I can see exactly his point there. So that leads us on to this album then. The first song on this album is Wishing Wells, which pretty much everyone will have heard by now and seen the video. Wishing Wells is an absolute belter of a track, I think. It would sit nicely on Ire. It's huge. I don't need to talk about production much, because to me, a good song is a good song. Unless it's recorded through a fucking potato, it still sounds like a good song to me. But the production on this album is fucking massive. It makes Parkway Drive sound huge. The drums are gargantuan. The guitar tone is exceptional. And Winston vocals throughout this album are brilliantly done. None more so than on this track, really, Wishing Wells. I love the play of his soft-spoken parts to his low growls in the chorus. And Jesus, does he get low in the chorus with his growls. It's fantastic to listen to, and it's massive. And it's probably the heaviest song on this album, really. If you heard that single and thought, hope it's, there's better than that. If better by means of, heavier, then no, that is probably the heaviest they get in terms of metalcore on this album. I love that song. I love Wishing Wells. I love the video as well. I know a lot of people laughed at the video. But if you look at the video, I'll put it up here actually. The video is just basically Winston's floating head singing the song. I think it echoes what this album's all about. It's a very personal album, not just to Winston, but just to the band. But Winston especially, who went through a lot of grief during the period of recording. And I think this album is a very personal, emotionally driven album. And the next song after that is Pray, which is the second song they released before the album came out. Now, Pray is a lot more along the lines of the traditional metal song. Gone are the sort of breakdowns and the double bass drumming that we've come to expect from metalcore. Is almost a Marilyn Manson style beat to it, and Winston's vocals are like some sort of lecherous ringmaster calling everyone in, and it comes in with a fist pumping chorus along the lines of like a vice grip chorus. It's a great track. It's a great traditional metal, big song, big anthemic song, and that's a lot more along the lines of where this album goes to. It dips in and out of metalcore a little bit, and it dips in and out of traditional metal. If you want your metalcore, you've got Wishing Wells and probably Absolute Power. But if you want traditional metal, or if you're looking for traditional metal on the album, Pray, The Void, and I Hope You Rot. At times they sound like Iron Maiden and Amon Amarth, Five Finger Death Punch, which is a dirty word to say. And a really weird comparison, but one that I only noticed, and it wasn't me who picked up on it, someone else picked up on it, and I heard them mention it. I thought, nah. But they said, at times they sound like Lordi. Now, if those of you who don't know who Lordi is, I'll put a picture up here. And they won the Eurovision Song Contest for Finland one year, which was a bizarre story. But they're a bit of a joke band, but they're only a joke band really because they look like monsters, and they dress like monsters. If you listen to their songs, they might not be your thing, but it's just power metal with fist-pumping choruses. If you listen to I Hope You Rot, fucking hell, that sounds like Lordi at times, mainly on the pre-chorus. But whether that's your thing or not, that's entirely up to you. But that's the road they've sort of gone down at times on this album. It's not a massive departure from Ire, but, it's more of a progression from that, I'd say, and it's allowed them to do this. What strikes me is Parkway Drive are an ambitious band. They don't want to be confined in the metalcore genre, and metalcore is a confining genre. To me, they are future festival headliners. After Ire came out, and after the sort of, the critics sort of calmed down about it and realised that it's an absolute belter of an album, Parkway Drive look to the future, and they must think that they are close to festival headlining. And we are such metal fans as a collective, are such like bad people. We always try and put bands down, like, get back in your box, Don't try and get out of metalcore. Get back in your metalcore box. You are a little metalcore band from Australia, and get back in that. Don't try anything new. And it's a shame, because the people will say that about this album. It will be a divisive album. I know it will. It shouldn't be as much as Ire, because people should know what to expect now. But it will become divisive. But this is an ambitious band. This is the album they need to make to become a festival headliner. There's a sort of glass ceiling in rock and metal. Sorry to swear straight off the path a little bit. But there's like a glass ceiling that bands have got to break through. And in the future, I always say, in 10, 15 years' time, who are going to be the festival headliners at big festivals? In the UK, we've got Download Festival. This year, we've got Guns N' Roses, Avenged Sevenfold, and Ozzy Osbourne. And you think, in 10, 15 years' time, all right, Avenged Sevenfold, take them away. Who the hell are going to be festival headliners? Metallica are gone. Maiden are gone. Guns N' Roses are gone. Ozzy's gone. Ozzy's gone already, let's face it. But Parkway Drive are headlining the second stage on the Sunday at Download, and I, for one, have been watching them fucking later waste the place. And, if you want to go watch Ozzy, fine, great. I'd rather, put on Weekend at Bernie's, which will be pretty much what it'll be like. But Parkway Drive will be excellent. And these songs are stadium anthems, and this should push them to that level. And I hope, I've got a funny feeling next year, if this all goes well for them, they could easily be the experimental headline band, and we should get behind it. Whether you really like them or not, you should get behind a band trying to push through a little bit. They've not done anything wrong. They're not like ditched rock music or anything like that. They've not done a 30 Seconds to Mars, let's say. They've made an album full of traditional metal, with a bit of metalcore in there, but traditional metal, heavy metal anthems that is very, very good. If we go back to the album and talk about a couple more of the songs a little bit, it's an emotionally driven album, I realised, after listening to it, reading the lyrics, reading a little bit about the songs that Winston put down himself. they've all gone through like personal grief over the last couple of years, and this album's full of songs about loss, about grief, about faith, about defiance as well. And that's one thing that really spoke up to me, is the defiance on this record. There's a song called Shadow Boxer, which is probably my favourite on the album. When I first heard it, I didn't think it would be, because, say it quietly, but Winston raps on it. Not raps as in like Eminem rapping, but raps like Rob Flynn rapping on The Burning Red. When Rob Flynn was good at rapping, not like on Catharsis when he's just awful. It's not really rapping, it's like bouncing along to the beat a little bit more. But Winston does a bit of rapping on Shadow Boxing, I say. But he does a great line, and it's a song about defiance and saying to people, we'll do what we fucking like. We're Parkway Drive. This is what we want to do. This is what we'll do. And it says in it, all my life I've been told the same old, don't step out, don't test the mould. And, it's a whole song about that, like, we're being defiant. We will do what we want to do. We will try the things we want to try. And the last minute of that song fucking rips. It's a real good song, my favourite on the album. The last song on that album is probably the most interesting song on the album. It's called The Colour of Living. Now, this is a very strange sort of folky-driven, haunting song, along the lines of like a Nick Cave. Nick Cave track, but it's recorded really strangely. If you listen to the start of Wishing Wells, there's almost like a sound just before the song kicks in, where it's almost like footsteps in a field and treading on like dirt, and this all continues that effect, and it's almost like it's recorded outside in a field, and very roughly recorded, but the production still sounds great. So it's a really odd little song at the end, but I think it sums up the whole album really. It's a very personal song about loss, and that really, that defines the album. In conclusion, really, is this better than Aya? Possibly not. I mean, I think Aya is a great album, but this is the album they needed to make. If they're going to ever push forward to be the festival headliners, I think they can be, the big metal band of our generation, this is an album they needed to make. And it's a fantastic metal album. It's not a metalcore album, it's a fantastic metal album. Metalcore needs to let go of this band. Everyone whinging that this isn't Horizons, this doesn't sound like Horizons. No, you're right, it doesn't. It's not Horizons. This is Parkway Drive 2018. And it's a really, really good album. The mainstream of rock needs to embrace this band. And I think live, these songs will fucking slay. So that's it, really. Go check it out, Parkway Drive, Reverence. And hope you enjoy it. I'll be back soon with some more reviews. Thanks for watching. Cheers.